I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here as we prepare for race 21 of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Qualifying here today from the Kentucky Speedway, the D-shaped mile-and-a-half racetrack. 42 drivers going to be qualifying here today. All 42 will make the show. Subsequently, we'll have a 15-minute first session here. Fast 10 will move on to run for the pole position later on this afternoon. We've got Reese Banks heading out onto the racetrack. Well, we no longer are able to have the running streak of different drivers starting on the pole position. It ended last week. I was so caught up in making sure I gave the accurate announcement of who was in, who was out, as there was a lot of different scenarios to get into last week's race in Suzuka that I failed to notice, and I'm sure somebody pointed it out to me during that race, that our streak snapped at 19 different races with 19 different pole sitters. Rob Evans, with the pole last week, became the first repeat pole sitter on the season. So, man, it was fun while it lasted, and I am personally amazed it got as far as it did before we had a repeat pole sitter. So pretty cool in that regard, as now drivers are looking to either build off the momentum of last week at Suzuka, or for quite a number of drivers, a good dozen or so, they're looking to gain back points that they didn't even get last week when they failed to qualify. The point standings, the playoff standings themselves look much different now than they did 1 week ago. A couple of changes took place. For one, Connor Breton made his way back up into the top 30 in the point standings, and Jessica Schulten, who I originally projected when she failed to make the show last week, I thought she would fall outside the third in the standings cut line. That was not the case. She dropped to 28th in points, but is still in the top 30 in the standings, which means that right now she and Connor Breton still hold wild card positions. Casey Hoyt and James Qualls, they'll be duking it out for the number 1 seed, starting the playoffs, with both of them at 3 wins apiece. And Chris Dollerton, we'll be talking about him today, jumped up 8 spots in the standings. The inaugural champion is in the top 10 in points with a chance to run for the championship trophy if he can stay there for the next 6 weeks. Right now, top of the board would be a driver who did make the show last week, but got involved in a wreck in the early going and finished dead last in that race. That would be Charles Sanford. Now, because he made the race, even though he did DNF, he didn't gain or lose any positions in points. He is still 25th in the overall standings coming into this one. He was top of the board. Now he is third at a 30.455. A lot of different drivers, some big names running out of time here to be able to make those last minute moves to get into the playoffs. Right beside him, his teammate Cole Deaver being another of those drivers, though he had a good run last week. Was up front for a portion of that race. I believe he was tied, leading the most laps with Nico Servideo, so had the bonus point for most laps led there as well. Talking about Cole Deaver, who comes through this one 23rd in points. That team is still searching for their first top 5 on the season. They, along with Nick Gunther and Benjamin Miles, are the only chartered entries that have not yet scored a top 5 finish. Another driver that made the show last week, but he didn't have a great run, was Will Goss. Will, a couple of weeks ago, dropped out of the top 10 in overall standings, so he now is in a wild card spot with his North Wilkesboro checkered flag. And last week he dropped another spot in the standings down to 14th. Keith Batson picked up a spot on him, but it is still super, super close. I mean, right now, Chris Dollerton, who holds the 9th position, is separated by Will Goss in 14th by 5 points. That is 6 positions separated by 5 points right now. Right around that cut line of drivers trying to point their way in to the championship battle. Casey Hoyt, what a rookie season it has been for this driver out of Lake Effect Autosport. Last week, picked up his 3rd win on the season, 3rd configuration that he has won on. Now he's won at a speedway, a super speedway, and a road course. And takes over the points lead from Rob Evans, 4 points over the 65 coming into this race. Ties James Qualls for most wins on the season. 4th win for the organization here in Season 7. And back when he ended up taking the checkered flag at Coke Zero Super Speedway, it was the first time the 74 team had ever gone to victory lane multiple times in a season. They'd only gone to victory lane one other time previously, and that was with Bradley Ream back at Phoenix in Season 5. Casey Hoyt, I'll tell you what, there's not been any confirmation yet, but I think that Lake Effect Autosport would be crazy not to bring him back next year. Speaking of next year, Matthew Rodriguez up here in the middle of this pack. Right now in the 5th position, so it looks like he's in line to maybe advance into the Fast 10, but Rodriguez made an announcement this week. He's currently positioned 40th in the standings, obviously a non-charter entry. Wasn't even planning to run full-time until he took the win in the Daytona 500, and then thought maybe I've got a shot of getting into the playoffs even as a non-charter driver. Well, he has failed to make 6 races so far this season. Failed to make the show last week. The gap between him and the 30th in the standings cut line continues to increase, 28 points between him and that cut line coming into this weekend's race. Rodriguez made the announcement this weekend that if he fails to make it into the playoffs at the conclusion of Auto Club at the end of the regular season, he will then be stepping out of the full-time, attempting to qualify during the playoffs. You may see some other drivers piloting the 80 during the course of that section of the schedule, but Rodriguez will step out from full-time at that point. He's going to see it through here to the end of the regular season, see if he can make it into the playoffs, but if he can't, then Rodriguez will go back to the part-time schedule he was originally planning at the very start of the season. Right now he sits 5th on the board at a 30.368. A driver that failed to make the show last week is currently sitting top of the board, and that is the Mazda out of Fortnite Squad Racing of Anthony McCurry. Anthony was looking like about 4 or 5 weeks ago he was going to be a threat to maybe point his way up into the top 10 in points, but he has hit a streak of bad luck really ever since Darlington. And he has not been able, it seems, to get his momentum back. Last week, as mentioned, failed to qualify for the race at Suzuka, a track that he very much was looking forward to taking part in. Dropped 3 spots in the standings, down to 26th in points. Another driver that was expecting to see maybe continue his momentum, Mitchell Collins. Did not finish all that well last week after he had an engine failure, the only mechanical failure that we had all weekend at Suzuka. Everybody else that DNF'd in both the Lights and Cup race was due to crash damage. Now, because of that DNF, Mitchell Collins lost a spot in the standings. He's still top 10, though. Still currently in a playoff spot, but he is the bubble driver. Another driver that was hoping for a lot more last week was Reggie Fogelman. He won his way into the main event at Suzuka, picking up the checkered flag in the first heat race. He was running well too, but then got caught up in a wreck, got forced into the tire barriers, and his day came to an early end. Fogelman comes into this one 16th in overall points, 19 points below the cut line. There's the other three-time winner, James Qualls. 3 victories in the last 5 weeks for the driver out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports. Right now he is just on the outside looking into the Fast 10. 30.424 to Caleb Fogler's 420. James Qualls last week involved in an early wreck with a DNF. Only lost 1 spot in the standings, down to 5th in points, still holding tough, and I think it's pretty safe to say he and Casey Hoyt, being 3-time winners with only 6 races remaining, they've all but solidified that they're going to be in the playoffs. There's really no possible way that they're going to drop so far down outside the top 30 in the standings that those wins are not going to count towards a playoff spot. If they follow the top 10, they're the 1 and 2 seed for the wildcard drivers easily. A driver that is coming on strong here, though, in the late portion of the regular season is Chris Dollerton. Last week, almost picked up that victory against Casey Hoyt, put the pressure on him, couldn't force him to make a mistake, brought it home in the runner-up position, and jumped up 8 spots in the point stands. He is 9th overall in points, and you think back to Chris Dollerton last season, Daytona 500 victory, but failed to make it into the playoffs since he was outside the top 30 in points. This season, he hasn't got a win, but he has been very consistent here ever since the All-Star race break. Right now, trying to find a little bit more speed as he is 32nd on the board at a 30.600. Anthony McCurry continuing to hold the top of the board. Zach Rogers had a good run last week. It's nice to see him running up towards the front. Finished up inside of the top 10. Gained 7 spots in the standings. Don't sleep on this driver, because we were kind of lumping him in with drivers like Nick Gunther and Jessica Shelton and Kyle Matthews, who have just really struggled this year. But Rogers has found something in the last couple of weeks. Last week, with a great run, he jumped up 7 spots in the standings, and he is inside the top 30 in overall points for the first time maybe this entire season. I'd have to look back and see. But this might be his first appearance in the top 30 in overall standings all year long. Right now he's running 31st on the speed charts, so he's got some work to do, but we'll have to see if Rogers can keep the momentum going. If he can pick up a victory, it puts him right into the wild card conversation. Austin LaPlante gained 2 spots in the standings. He's coming to pit road last week. Up to 3rd in points, 34 points out. He's 2nd on the board right now, so he's got a shot of advancing into the Fast 10. Still looking for that first victory on the season. A couple of former winners right here, Dylan Young and Jesse Turner. Dylan Young kind of felt we gave him the commentator's curse last week, where we're talking well about him as he was breaking into the top 10. Then he got involved in a wreck, hit the tire wall, and his day was done. Dylan Young dropped outside of the top 10 in the point standings as a result. He's now in a wild card position, currently the 3 seed of the wild card drivers, while Jesse Turner, he lost a spot last week in points after a DNF, but he is 4th overall in points, so still in a playoff position via top 10. RJ Bishop, right now 4th on the board at a 30.344. Anthony McCurry's lap time just got bested. Laura Chung, currently the fastest in Kentucky, at a 30.288. RJ Bishop, though, failed to qualify last week. 35th in points, lost a spot in the standings. Just trying to find some momentum as the 2-time winner from last season. A little bit of a new look here for Kyler Sustre. It was announced this week that Kyler Sestre will be returning next season. Looking to find a charter if he can to run full-time as a chartered entry next year. Kyler Sestre currently 37th on the board. And Sestre last week, failing to qualify for the main event at Suzuka, dropped out of the top 30 in points. He is 32nd in the standings, 10 points below the cut line, so looking for points here this week. Got a couple of hometown drivers here this weekend. We documented James Qualls. This is a home track for him. Same also for Dylan Poteet in the 31. Currently 23rd on the board. Poteet gained a spot last week in the standings after a solid top 10 run. 7th in overall points, 92 points out of the points lead. Maybe more importantly, 22 points ahead of the 10th in the standings cut line. Sessions winding down. Laura Chung right now at the top of the board. Trying to find that 77. There she is. In this group with Carson Gum and Rob Evans. Cody Lamas as well. Right now, Laura Chung, Anthony McCurry, Austin LaPlante, RJ Bishop, and Jose Mills are the top 5. Matthew Rodriguez, Matt McIntyre, Quentin Moore, Casey Hoyt, and Reese Banks. The top 10 that would move on to run for the pole position if it stays the way it currently is. Some good runs there for Matt McIntyre Company. Dylan Poteet just jumped to the top of the board, and that just knocked out Reese Banks at the last moment. Dylan Poteet with a 30.273. And I believe he was at the tail end of a pack here too, so he probably got a heck of a tow draft lap. Someone in the grass. That was Jesse Turner. And I think Poteet is going to be the fastest here in Kentucky, at least here in round 1. Reese Banks almost with a chance of advancing into the second round to qualify and to run for the pole position, but going to come up just short as he was the first driver out there during the session. And standings are indeed official. The 10 drivers that will run for the pole: Dylan Poteet, Laura Chung, Anthony McCurry, Austin LaPlante, RJ Bishop, Jose Mills, Matthew Rodriguez, Matt McIntyre, Quentin Moore, and Casey Hoyt. Some well-needed starting track position for a few drivers, Quentin Moore and Matthew Rodriguez, RJ Bishop, that have been struggling in the point standings. They know that they will start this race no worse than 10th. Casey Hoyt advancing here into the top 10, looking for his second pole on the season and what's been a career year. And Matthew McIntyre, how about Matt McIntyre there in the 21 car? Had a great run last week, jumped up 4 spots in the standings to 34th. He also seems to be looking like he's making a bit of a late season push to get up maybe into a wild card spot. I don't think he's going to have a shot necessarily at top 10 in points. Laura Chung as well. A good run for her to be able to have good starting track position tomorrow after she lost 3 spots in the standings, failing to qualify last week at Suzuka, 30th in overall points. Here's the rest of the way that they'll line up from 11th place on down. Kentucky, not as much a track position racetrack. You can work your way from the back to the front and fully expect to see pit strategy come into play tomorrow. But got some pretty big names. They're going to be starting towards the rear of the field, working their way up to the front. Going to be a lot of fun to watch them do so. But the top 10, they'll be moving on to run for the pole position, and we'll be right back to cover it as we continue on here from qualifying day at Kentucky Speedway. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. All right, 5 minutes on the clock starting now. Our Fast 10 with an opportunity to start tomorrow afternoon's race from the pole position. Just the Cup Series drivers here in Kentucky. Lights drivers we'll see in about 3 weeks' time at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Two drivers looking to join Rob Evans as a repeat pole sitter on the year. That would be Laura Chung and Casey Hoyt. The other 8 looking for their first pole position here of Season 7. And waiting to see who's going to make the first move here. I don't think we're going to see lap times anywhere close to what we were able to lay down in that first session with the limited number of cars we're going to have out there. Looked like we ended up having most of our top 10 run in the 30.3s. Poteet and Chung ran in the high 30.2s. We've already got over a minute shaved off the clock. Looks like Matthew Rodriguez going to be the first one to jump off of pit road. Rodriguez, one of 2 Toyotas that advanced here into the Fast 10. We got the single Mazda of Anthony McCrory. We've got, it looks like, 3 Chevrolets and 4 Fords. We'll see if the clean racetrack may be the key for Matthew Rodriguez here to start from the pole. Rodriguez, of course, with 2 Crown Jewel victories on the season opening Daytona 500, followed it up later on this year at Indianapolis. Gonna have some traffic to deal with there. Laura Chung merging onto the racetrack. That might screw up his lap time just the least little bit. Laura Chung trying to time it where she can get a draft lap off the back of the 80. Saw Anthony McCrory at the top of the board in round 1 of qualifying for a good portion of it before Laura Chung eventually leapfrogged him. And then Dylan Poteet leapfrogged them both. Feel like this 77 is going to jump to the top of the board here in just a second. Maybe not up to full song on that first lap, but we'll see. Should be a really good lap time for Laura Chung, 31.152. That is second right now. Anthony McCrory is currently the fastest, 30.984. No improvement that time as he was making his way around Quentin Moore. I want to drop back to the 77 because I feel that this is going to be an improved lap time here. Can Chung gain 2/10 is the question. Got to beat a 30.984 and easily beats that. 30.770 for Laura Chung. Quentin Moore might have something to say about this, and Anthony's going to get a good run on the back of Dylan Poteet. 30.795. He's about 2/100ths off. Keep an eye on the 61 here. If he doesn't get held up by the 31 coming off this corner, he's going to have a heck of a draft lap. Oh, he's going to have to move to the inside, but might scrub off some speed going into 3. Still got the 89 behind him. I don't know if he's going to get it that 200ths that he needs right here. I feel like this is going to be slower. It was not. 30.637 for Anthony McCrory. 30.701 for Quentin Moore. That moved him up to second on the board. Now he's got to find 700 somewhere. Dylan Poteet with less than 40 seconds on the clock. Does he have something to be able to get a draft lap off the 2 of these guys? He was able to jump up to the top of the board late in round 1. He should have time for one more lap here. 31.103 moves him up to 6, but let's follow him on this upcoming lap. Let's see if these two improved. Quentin did to a 30.655, so he's only 200ths off of Anthony. It's Anthony versus Quentin versus Dylan, I think, right now. Austin LaPlante just jumped up to a 30.672. He might have a late shot here. McCrory, I don't think we'll see an improvement. Oh, we did! 30.575 for Anthony. Improvement for Quentin Moore to a 638. Where's LaPlante? LaPlante jumps to second on the board, 30.599. About 200ths off of Anthony McCrory, and I think the laps will probably stop being counted there. Looks like Mazda may get its first pole of Season 7. Let's see if they've stopped scoring or if they're going to score Anthony again this lap. They do not. Same for Quentin Moore. Looks like they're not scoring the 48 either. Anthony McCrory is going to capture his first pole of the season. Needs some good luck to come his way after the hardships he's had, including failing to qualify for last week's race at Suzuka. And it is official with a 30.575, which, oh, by the way, that wouldn't have even gotten you into the top 20 in speeds back in round 1. It's going to put Anthony McCrory's Mazda on the pole, and he'll share the front row with the Chevrolet of Austin LaPlante, the only 2 drivers that clocked in here in the 10 driver final session at 30.5s. Quentin Moore will be sharing row number 2 with Matthew Rodriguez, who looks to make his way back into the top 30 in points. Laura Chung and points leader Casey Hoyt will be in row 3. Dylan Poteet was fastest in round 1 but ends up 7th here. Officially for the lineup, he'll be in row 4 with Matt McIntyre, and then a couple of Fords, Jose Mills and RJ Bishop, will make up the 5th row and completion of the top 10. So your starting lineup is set for tomorrow's race here from Kentucky. That'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys enjoyed today's qualifying session, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to Heart the Crew today, and we will see you guys tomorrow afternoon for what should be an exciting 21st race of the season here for the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. But until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.